Hey everyone, and welcome. So, today I want to talk a little bit about the concept of the word chaos and chaotic, and I want to try and reach an answer to the question if our world truly is chaotic. Now, before I begin, I have a few things that I want to talk about before I get started. So first, I want to say that I am not a native English speaker. English is not my first language, so if I make any mistakes or if my English isn't perfect, so I want to apologize beforehand, right? I pretty much learned English all by myself, so I do apologize if my English isn't perfect or make any mistakes. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is that all the things that I'm gonna say here in this video, they are all my own ideas and my own concepts and my own reasoning, which means that you yourself don't have to agree with anything that I'm saying here in this video. You always have your own mind, you always have your own intellect, and you can choose to believe whatever you wish. And finally, the last thing that I want to say is that I already made a video before this one where I talk about the concepts of human beings and if they are good or if they are evil. I made an entire video about this topic, about the concept of humanity being evil or good. And I'm pretty much going to pick up where I left off from that video. So if you haven't watched it and you perhaps feel interest in what I'm going to talk about in this video, then I would recommend to you to watch that video as well, so you can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about. And also because I'm going to reference things in that video, but I'm not going to be able to go in depth because I don't have the time to do so, because the topic in this video is a different one. So with all of that out of the way, shall we get started? So I remember back when I was a kid and I was at school, and whenever we had classes about history or sociology or philosophy, sometimes even psychology, more often than not, the concept of humanity and the concept of human beings, they would, if not always appear, but more often than not, like sometimes or perhaps more than sometimes, there were times the concept of humanity would appear in those classes. And if it wasn't me bringing this up, then it was other students, other colleagues, and sometimes, more often than not, even the teachers or professors themselves. And this concept of human beings and humanity, and also the nature of human beings and humanity, I would have classes about it not only in school, but I also had this kind of classes all the way to college and even beyond that. And whenever this concept appeared, whenever even the word humanity or human beings appeared, there was always an answer that would be given to us, sometimes even before the question was brought in the first place. And the answer that it would be given to us in pretty much all cases before we even ask that, or any of the other students ask that, was the fact that human beings were often considered to be chaos, to be pure chaos themselves, and to be therefore chaotic. That this was the nature of humanity, of human beings, to be pure chaos and chaotic. Now, every time that I heard that, I remember even back when I was a kid, that always had an impact on me. And not only did it impact me, I couldn't necessarily agree with that concept, agree with what was being presented to us. You see, whenever that topic appeared, it was always an instantaneous answer, right? About human beings being chaotic and pure chaos. And that always struck me as odd, even as a kid. Why is that? Because more often than not, this concept was always presented to us by different scholars, different teachers, and even different students and colleagues from my own classes. So it kind of felt to me like we were dealing with an universal truth, an absolute truth about human beings and the concept of humanity. And to me, that always felt weird. Why is that? Because the more you study, and it doesn't matter what academic areas you wish to study, more often than not, you always see that in universal truth, something that is absolutely true, and something that can never be questioned or confronted in any way, those concepts don't necessarily seem to have a place in academy as a whole, or academic students as a whole. What do I mean? I mean that in all academic areas of study and in science itself, the concept of universal truth, the concept of an absolute truth, the concept of even a scientific fact being proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, and that can never be questioned in any way, that in itself doesn't necessarily have a place in academy as a whole, or in academic studies as a whole. Because even science and even scientific facts that were born with a lot of study and a lot of knowledge and a lot of research, even those facts in itself can always be confronted and can always sometimes even be debunked with more studies, and more research and more experiments. Maybe if I give a few examples, it would be easier to understand what I mean. You see, there was a time long ago that many scholars believed that Earth, as in our planet Earth, was at the center of the universe. Many scholars believe that, if not all scholars believe that, and all the other planets, they also thought, would rotate around our planet, that our planet was at the center of it all, and all the other planets would rotate around our own. And why did the scholars think that way? You see, there were several reasons for them to think that, but one of the ones that appeared the most was because everyone kind of had the sense that Earth and human beings were a superior race and a superior planet. Therefore, since they are so very, very superior, then all the other planets would rotate around their own. Now, later on, it was, of course, found out that Earth wasn't at the center of the universe, that it was actually the sun, that it was at the center of the universe, and all the other planets would rotate around the sun. So the concept that the scholars had, if not all scholars, but the great majority, that concept was debunked with more time and more knowledge and more research, right? Now, think about another example that I'm gonna give to you. You see, for a very long time, whenever the concept of an atom was in place, or there were research about the atom, the scholars, the academics, the scientists, they all believe as a scientific fact that the atom was the smallest particle that there ever was in our entire universe, that nothing could be smaller than an atom. And then, of course, later on, they were able to, if I'm not wrong, I believe they were able to break the atom. And by breaking the atom, they found out there was a whole lot more inside of it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they found pretty much an entire universe inside the atom. I could be wrong, of course, but I think that's what they found. I think they found a lot inside the atom. And then, from that point forward, that scientific fact, the fact of what they had believed before, was completely debunked. All of a sudden, the atom was no longer the smallest particle in perhaps the entire universe. All of a sudden, there was a lot more that we needed to study and to find out. So, what I'm trying to say here with these two examples that I just gave you is that all concepts in research, in an academic environment, or even science itself as scientific facts, all of those things, they can be put into check, they can be confronted, they can be questioned, they can be seen through different lenses or through different reasonings and meanings. So if you think back about our topic at hand here in this video, then how come all the classes that I had all the time, how come we were always offered an answer, an instant answer, all the time? Perhaps even before the question was fully formed, or even if there was no question at all, it would just be given to us that human beings and humanity itself are pure chaos, are chaotic. You see, whenever you think about the word chaos, you have to understand that, or at least from all of my studies, chaos is a concept that is the opposite of the word order. Chaos is the opposite of order. You could think of it as disorder, or something that is so very, very confusing, so very, very elaborate, basically a jumble mess, something that is so intricate, something that is so beyond understanding that it can never be understood, that it can never be fully understood, and therefore it is considered as chaos or chaotic, something that you would never be able to understand or make sense of it, no matter how hard you try. And whenever you were being presented this concept, and whenever this concept of chaos was affiliated with humanity and human beings, to me it always felt extremely odd, like extremely odd, because I kept asking myself, are human beings really pure chaos? Are human beings really chaotic? Are human beings really so very intricate, so very confusing that they can never be understood, no matter how hard you try? Are human beings really that chaotic, as in pure chaos? And why is it that no one ever told me this concept in any other way? Or at least, why is it that this concept was never confronted in any other way, or at least questioned about it? It never happened at all. In school, college, and even beyond that. So I always of course like to give the benefit of the doubt, right? Because perhaps my teachers, my professors, my students, my fellow students, my colleagues, perhaps they heard this their entire life, and as they heard of that, they began to accept it as the truth without ever questioning or thinking about it. So let me give a perhaps a better understanding of what I mean. Now, if you remember my last video when I talk about human beings and the concept of humanity being either good or bad, I came to the conclusion that human beings were not evil at all. That human beings were good. Very, very good, in fact. If perhaps you're interested in hearing about that, and perhaps you're watching this video or hearing me right now and you haven't watched that video yet, then I would suggest you do it again, because here I won't have the time to explain to you all my meanings that I did in that video. But human beings, I came to the conclusion that they were very, very good. And you see, the more I study about human beings, the more I come to the conclusion that not only they are good, but most of them, if not the great majority of them, are also very, very simple and humble. You see, if you go around the Earth, our planet Earth, and you start asking people questions, and if you try to direct the questions to a more specific topic, if you go around our planet Earth and start asking people the following question, if you tell them, hey, would you like to live in a dystopia, or would you like to live in a utopia? Now, if you don't know what a dystopia and a utopia is, you see, in a utopia is basically the concept of a perfect world. A world without wars, a world without hunger, a world without poverty, a world where everyone is equal and all human beings can live life with dignity. So, in Christianity terms, utopia would basically be paradise or heaven. But if you think about the opposite, which is dystopia, which is the opposite of a utopia, a dystopia would be the opposite of what I just said. So it would be a very chaotic world, a very evil world, a world filled with nothing but evil, and violence and pain and misery and suffering and diseases and wars all around. In Christianity terms, dystopia would pretty much be hell itself, hell on earth. So, if you present this question to people all around the world, and if you ask people which one would you rather have, more often than not, if not for the majority of people, they would say that they want an utopia, that they would prefer an utopia over a dystopia. And it's not just that either. Whenever you ask about humanity and human beings and what kind of world they would like, if you go all around the world, you would probably get more or less the same answer, no matter where you went. People always seem to want things to be good, not just for them, but for everyone else. You see, people will often say that they would rather live in a world where everyone is equal and everyone can live a life with dignity, that everyone can have food, can have water, can have a roof on top of their heads, electricity, all the basic necessities, medical care, everything taken care of, and providing everyone with a life of dignity and decency, and even go beyond that. Friendship, kindness, gentleness, love, care, marriage, children, home, education for your children, a car or multiple cars. Really, people always seem to want that. And when they say that they want that, more often than not, they don't want it just for themselves, but for everyone else too. So you see, in my last video, I came to the conclusion that human beings were very, very good, that their true essence, that they are inherently good, and not only are they good, they also want everyone else to have it good too, to have it all, to live in a world where everyone can be happy and live fulfilling lives with dignity and decency. So, if human beings, more often than not, are so very, very good, and if human beings, more often than not, want everything to be good, and if this concept is applied to pretty much almost every single human being on this earth, on our planet, then why is it that human beings are considered as chaotic? Why is it that human beings are considered as chaos, as pure chaos? Why is it that human beings are considered as something that is so very, very confusing, something that is so very, very hard and intricate and impossible to understand, that the only word that can be referred to human beings is chaos, or pure chaos, or chaotic? You see, to me, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It's the opposite. Human beings, for the most part, aren't chaotic. Human beings, for the most part, aren't chaos. In fact, they are so very, very good and so very, very simple and wanting more or less the very same things that even a child could understand human beings. They are simple, they are good, they are inherently good, and they just want everything else to be good. So where's the chaos in that? Where's the chaotic concept in that? If the majority of human beings are this way, if the majority of human beings want all to be good for everyone at all times, and if they are inherently good as well, then where's the chaos on that? It's not that hard to understand. Not at all. Even a child could reach the same conclusion. So, if you think about the concept of the word chaos and the human beings affiliated with chaotic, and you also reflect it upon the whole world, you see, I was always taught in these classes, whenever I went in academic research, there was always the concept that the world is a reflection of the human beings that inhabit the world. Why is that? Because human beings, they are very much dominant on our planet. So even if they don't occupy every single corner of the earth, they at the very least have a heavy influence on the world. Therefore, the world itself would be a reflection of human beings and humanity as a whole. But if you apply the concept that I just told you about human beings being inherently good and wanting everything for everyone to be good, then the world would be a reflection of that as well. the world would be a reflection of hope and dreams and prayer and desire for everything to be good. All humans, if not most of the humans, if not almost every single one of them, seem to desire that, seem to hope for that, seem to dream of that, seem to want that, seem to even pray for that all the time. So the world would naturally be a reflection of that if you apply the same concept, because the world would be a reflection of the human beings that inhabit our world. So if human beings are not chaotic, if human beings are very, very simple, very, very humble, and if human beings in almost all cases seem to want the same thing, and if human beings are pure good, then the reflection of the world would be these very same concepts, but applied worldwide. Basically meaning that the world itself, as a reflection of human beings, wouldn't be chaotic at all, wouldn't be chaos at all, because it wouldn't be that hard to understand what human beings are and what human beings want all around the world. But then at this moment you ask me, hey, but don't we have a lot of evil in our world? Don't we have a lot of pain and suffering and misery and diseases and wars, and so many bad things happen to so many people all the time? Don't we have that in our world? And then you ask me, hey, isn't all of these bad things, isn't all of this evil that happens to so many people all the time, isn't it a form of chaos itself, or even the very pure concept of chaos itself? Isn't the evil that we have in our world chaos itself? And you see, if you ask me this question, then now I can tell you that now you yourself, you're starting to wonder yourself what the right questions would be to ask yourself about the world. Because if human beings are inherently good, and if human beings, for the great majority, want things to be good, then how come we have so much evil in our world? How come we have so many bad practices and so many bad things happen that can be considered in those itself to be chaos or chaotic? How come you have so much chaos when human beings are the opposite of that? When human beings are good and want everything to be good, why do we have so much evil? Why do we have so many bad things? And why, when you combine those things, so many bad and so many evil things happening all the time, how come this chaos that we have in our world exists? What explains it? And you see, to me, that's the right question right there. A question that I never ever heard in academic environments, because they will always tell me, and everyone else, that human beings are pure chaos, that human beings are chaotic. Therefore, the world, as a reflection of the human beings that inhabit the world, would also be chaotic and pure chaos. That was always the answer every time. And as I said, I always like to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe everyone else there heard this concept their entire lives, until they come to accept it as reality, until they come to accept it as how it is and how It has always been, and how it will forever be. Because human beings are pure chaos, then therefore the world is a chaotic mass as a reflection. But you see, if you think about this concept that is being presented to us again and again and again as an absolute truth, as a universal truth, that human beings are chaotic and the world as well. You have to think about it this way. Why is it that we keep hearing that? And why is it that we're told of this all the time? Why is it that at every corner we seem to hear this concept again and again without ever being questioned? You see, to me, whenever I think about that, and whenever I think about this concept, I believe that the answer is also pretty clear and pretty simple. Maybe if I give an example, it'll be a little bit better or easier to understand. So let's say that you are a common folk, a commoner, low-born, or perhaps even middle class, or maybe even upper class, and then you keep studying and hearing and trying to understand the state of the world, how our world is today. And I won't lie to you, our world today doesn't seem to be doing very well, does it? And it also doesn't seem to be heading on a good direction, does it? And whenever you think about it this way, and whenever you try to understand what's going on and the direction that we're heading in our world, more often than not, you'll probably come to the conclusion that this is how things should be. Because human beings are pure chaos, human beings are chaotic, therefore the world itself is chaotic. Therefore, the only possible place, the only direction that we can go is the direction of pure chaos and evil. Because human beings are pure chaos, because human beings are chaotic. Therefore, the only path ahead of us is the path of a dystopia, the path of hell on earth. That's the only possible path for humanity. And why is that? Because humanity, as I said, is pure chaos and heading towards a chaotic hell on earth direction as well. And not only you would come to this conclusion for studying and trying to understand the world and trying to understand the concept of humanity, but if you think about it this way, then immediately after, you also think that there's nothing that can be done, especially for you, especially for one individual or a group of individuals. Even if you are upper class, you'd probably come to the conclusion that there's nothing that anyone or even yourself can do. Because most often than not, even if you are upper class, but even more so for those that are not upper class, for those that are from middle class or the lower classes or the common folk or the commoners, more often than not, they will think to themselves, there's nothing that I can do. I am worthless. I am useless. I am small. I am weak. And nothing that I ever do, none of my ideas, none of my hopes, none of my dreams, none of my prayers, they will all come to naught. Because I am just one, and I am as worthless and as useless as they come. So I can never make a difference. I can never have ideas, hopes, dreams, and prayers. All of those things, they will never amount to anything, because I am so very, very small, and so very, very useless, and so very, very worthless in a world that is nothing but pure chaos, in a world filled with human beings, and human beings that are nothing but pure chaos themselves. So even if I become great, even if I attain greatness, there still won't be anything that I can do, because I'm going against the nature of humanity and human beings themselves. And humanity and human beings are pure chaos, and the world itself as a reflection is chaotic, and therefore there's nothing that I can do. There's nothing that can be done. So it's better to not even try. It's better to just let it go. It's better to just let it be. It is what it is, and I cannot change it. I cannot have a difference. I cannot make a difference. I cannot do anything. So it's better to not even try. It's better to just allow it to happen, and whatever happens, happens. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Do you understand what's going on here? You see, this narrative, or this false narrative that is being presented to you, this lie that is being presented to you all of the time, the lie about saying that human beings are pure chaos, the lie about saying that the world itself is chaotic, that lie right there is by design. It was thought of. People researched it. People understood that. People study it before applying into the world. And as I said, I always like to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe someone heard that their entire lives until the point that they actually believed it. But it's not the truth. As I said, and I'll say it again, human beings are not pure chaos. Human beings are inherently good. They are the pure essence of good itself. And human beings, in the great majority of them, if not almost single one of them, they want things to be good, not just for them, but for everyone else. So human beings want good things, and human beings want good things for everyone, because they are inherently good, and they want everything else to be good. So this concept that is being presented to you, this lie that is being presented to you, that human beings are the opposite of that human beings are pure chaos, and that human beings, as chaotic, reflect that upon the world, and the world itself becomes chaotic, that all of that is bullshit, is a lie, is a false narrative, a narrative that has been created by design to make you feel so very, very small, to make you feel so very, very useless, to make you feel so very, very worthless, that you can never amount to anything. Now, here's I probably should say this to you before we continue. So, if you yourself believe that, if you yourself believe to be very, very little, very, very useless, very, very worthless, and that there is nothing that you can ever do for anything that you see into the world, then I should probably say that just because you believe in something, that does not make it true. That does not make it into reality itself. So just because you maybe don't believe or have no faith in God, that doesn't mean that God isn't real. Just because you don't believe in the devil, and just because you don't think the devil is real, that doesn't mean that the devil doesn't exist. Just because you don't believe in the afterlife, just because you don't believe there is something beyond our mortal world and our mortal vessels, that doesn't mean that the afterlife itself doesn't exist. And even if you believe yourself to be very, very little, very, very worthless, very, very useless, that you yourself believe to be absolutely nothing, that doesn't make it real. That doesn't mean the truth, because it is not the truth. Allow me to give an example of what I mean. You see, even if you forget about the higher concept of the world and the directions of where the world is going, even if you forget that, if you put that all aside all at once, even if you don't want to think about making a difference in the world anymore, you yourself can still be a huge impact, not necessarily on the world, but around you, all around you. What do I mean by that? If you start talking to the people around you, if you start having a debate or discussion or presenting your ideas to the people all around you, to your loved ones, to your family, to your friends, to all of those that you have around you, if you present your ideas, if you present your concepts, and if you are true to yourself and to your own nature of human beings, which is the nature of kindness and love and care and gentleness and pure good that is inherently good in every single human being. So if you are true to yourself and you present your ideas, you present your concepts, but above all else, you present kindness and gentleness and love and care and hope and dreams and prayers and comfort, above all else, comfort to the people around you, then you'll probably be surprised by the outcome. You'd probably be surprised by what happens right next. You see, if you don't attack others, if you don't humiliate others, if you don't hate others, if you don't rage upon others, if you don't insult others, if you don't physically hurt others, if you don't do any of those things, and you start acting upon your very nature of what humanity and human beings are, if you stop going against your nature, if you stop going to what you truly want to do, then you'd be surprised by the outcome. Human beings were not meant to do evil. Human beings were not meant to want evil. And human beings were not meant to act upon evil, because it doesn't feel good at all. It is not something that not only you feel good about, but you also don't feel proud of, especially when you are in the wrong, especially when you haven't abandoned your humanity, especially when you still have your own mind and your own conscience, your remorse for doing all these things and for going against your nature. You see, if you attack someone, if you hurt someone, if you yell at someone, if you make that someone, that other human being, if you make them feel humiliated, or if you cause pain and suffering and misery to others, that right there is you going against your nature. And it doesn't feel good at all. Especially if you're not in the right, and even if you are in the right to do so, it doesn't feel good. If you hurt somebody morally or physically, and you were in the wrong for doing so, let's say that a misunderstanding happened or something like that, and you hurt someone morally or physically, then it doesn't feel good. You feel remorse. You want to apologize for this horrible, horrible thing that you did to another human being that didn't even do anything wrong, because it was a misunderstanding. And even if it wasn't a misunderstanding, even if it was justified, that still doesn't mean that it feels good, because it doesn't. It doesn't feel good, because you are going against your nature. You're going against the nature of human beings. And the nature of human beings, the nature that we have inside ourselves, is to be good, the absolute pure good itself. And why is that? I said this in my other video, but I'll say it again, and I know that many people don't like religious concepts, so I'll try to keep it at a very, very minimum. But you see, whenever you think about God, you also have to keep in mind that God is a synonymous word for good, as in God is good and good is God. Therefore, we who were created by God in His own image, in His own essence, we as a creation of God, we come from the good that is God. We humans, we come from that good. God is not only the origin of everything, but God is also the origin of good. God is where good leads to. Everything that is good has a source, an origin. That source and origin is God. So you see, we ourselves that come from God and were made in the image and shape of God, we come from that origin that is good, or goodness itself. That's why human beings are inherently good. That's why human beings not only are good, but want the good things, want everything to be good for everyone else. Because that's the true nature of humanity. That's the true nature of human beings. And that's why, if you haven't abandoned your humanity, that's why if you don't go against your very nature, that's why it feels so very, very bad, so very, very remorseful. That's why your conscience will constantly abhor you and haunt you if you go against your nature. If you hurt someone, especially if you were in the wrong for doing so, and even if you're in the right, it still doesn't feel good, because you're going against your nature. You're going against what humanity and human beings are. You're going against all of that. So you see, what I'm trying to tell you here is that this concept of pure chaos being affiliated to human beings, and therefore the world itself is a reflection of the human beings and the humanity that human beings have upon themselves, and this concept being told and being applied as pure chaos, you see, that concept right there is a lie. A big, fat, hairy, smelly lie. It's bullshit. It's not true. It is something by design. It is a false narrative that is being presented to you, that is being given to you, for you to invert or twist the concept of what human beings and humanity are. It is a lie that is told by design to make you believe something that is not the case, to make you think of something that isn't real, to make you believe of and come to your mind and your conclusion that simply isn't the case. It is by design, and it has many effects on society and the world, our world itself, because it makes you not only believe something that is in the case, it makes not only you believe something that is in real, but it also makes you feel that there's nothing you can do about it, that the only path ahead is the path of a dystopia, of hell on earth, of evil, of pure evil. And it also makes you feel so very, very small, for the most cases, right? It makes you feel so very, very small, so very, very worthless, so very, very useless, that there is nothing that can be done at all, especially for yourself, especially if you feel that you yourself are very small and useless and worthless and can never have an impact in the world and around you, all around you. And that is not the case. Just because you believe it doesn't make it so. So what I could of course talk more about this concept, and I intend to make more videos that will further explore these concepts that I'm presenting you. I don't intend to end things here and to never touch upon these topics and these subjects again. But this video is almost an hour now. I'm recording for almost an hour now, and I don't really want to make these videos too long. I don't want to make them too short, but I don't want to make them too long, and we already are approaching an hour here. So I think this is where I'm going to end the video. But as a final thought or a conclusion to what I mean, I can tell you that human beings are not evil, human beings are not chaotic, human beings are not pure chaos, and the world itself is a reflection of humanity, and human beings are also not chaotic and are also not pure chaos, because it is the hope and the dream and the prayer of pretty much almost every single human being on this earth for things to be good, not just for themselves but everyone else. And I want to end the video by saying that if you yourself feel useless and worthless, and that you can never have an impact on the world as a whole, then just as I said before, just because you believe in something doesn't make it so, doesn't make it true. And I can also tell you that you don't have to try and change the world, at least not right away. You can start by changing things around you. And how do you do that? Just by being true to your nature, just by being true to what human beings are. You can start from there. Instead of attacking others, instead of hating others, instead of raging against others, instead of being mean to others and physically hurting others morally and even physically, instead of going against your nature, you could try to accept who you are, to accept your own nature, to accept them, and to also not go against it, in the sense that you yourself would be true to yourself and do the things that you want to do each and every day. And what is that? It's to be good. To be good to others. To treat others with nothing but kindness and respect and gentleness and comfort all around. And if you do that, I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll be surprised by the outcome. You see, evil begets evil. Violence begets violence. Chaos begets chaos. But if you are true to yourself, if you are true to your nature, and if you do the things that you yourself always want to seem to desire to do, which is to be good, and it is to do good, then you'll probably be surprised by the outcome and all the things that happen all around you. And even if you aren't surprised, even if things seem to only be very, very bad and go towards a very, very bad direction, even if you are good but everyone else around you is not good at all, and most especially to you, even then, if you don't go against your nature, if you don't give up on your humanity at all, even then, even in those cases, you will probably be surprised by the outcome that will eventually happen. And as I said, I could go on talking more about this, but it's already been more than an hour, and I feel that I should stop it here. But I intend to make more videos about this and to talk more about these things. So if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you thought that maybe the thoughts and the concepts that I brought to you today were interesting to you, then you don't have to worry. I plan on doing a lot more videos and talking a lot more about that. At least that's my intent. Hopefully I can do that, right? But if you watch this video and you liked it, then I thank you. I thank you very much. And if you watch it till the very, very end, then I really, truly thank you. Thank you very much for watching. And hopefully I will soon see you again, very, very soon. Thank you again. Goodbye.